$9.99. And so I took, and we're also live on YouTube right now, y'all. Um, but anyway, I just discovered him through Udemy, and then I took one of his courses and then bought all the rest because they were amazing. Like, I mean, just mind alteringly profound. I thought, like, they're just amazing. And so I just ended up, you know how things work out.
Mhm.
I'm a part of his Facebook group, which is Manifestation Coaching. Um, and I just commented on something that he put out there, and we ended up talking about recovery. And, you know, he's like, "What can I do?" And I was like, "Come on the
And
show."
here he is.
And so that's how that happened. And so excited to have him. So that'll be very cool. Um, and, uh, and then after that, we're going to have our friend Justin on the show.
Yay!
Yay! We can't wait. He's actually a close friend of somebody we had on the show previously. She was our second guest or our third guest. Um, so we're excited to talk to them too. He's going to share some
Absolutely.
experience, strength, and hope
All
with
the
us.
enlightenment. My gosh, y'all, we need some enlightenment up around
Yes,
here.
absolutely. Please.
Um, so we just to kind of start it off today, I had a friend who shared this article with me, and it was beautifully written, very poignant, and also very human and very tragic. We speak about the opiate, crisis, the opioid. Hello, cannot use my words. Opioid crisis. Slow down. And we speak about it often, but it is a crisis, and it is an
Mm-hmm.
epidemic, and
Absolutely.
it is taking our loved ones away from us
Mm-hmm.
so quickly. And it's a secret that no one wants to share. It's the thing that you put in the back of your closet, that it's got you, you know.
Right.
Um, and so it was an obituary. It's not your normal obituary. You can look it up. Her name was Megan Angelina Webley, born 1988 to 2019. We have this off of a website called 7 Days. Um, we'll post the link to it so you can read it in depth. I won't do. Well, I guess I could read it all. Should I?
We have 8 minutes.
I can talk fast.
Do
All right, y'all stay with me,
it.
okay? This is really important. You need to hear this whole obituary. Megan Angelina Webley, 31, passed away unexpectedly on Sunday, September 29th. Specifically, she died of an overdose, finally losing her battle with addiction. She was in Manchester, New Hampshire, seeking treatment for her addiction. We have no clear picture of what went wrong. Megan leaves behind her mother, Dorothy Provenzano of Boca Raton, Florida, her father, Edwin Webley of, I don't know if it's, I guess it's Webley, of Middlebury, Vermont, and her brother, Michael Henderson of Los Angeles, California, as well as many loving cousins, aunts, and uncles. She also left behind 4 beautiful children who were collectively the light of her dark life. Though shadowed by opiate addiction, Megan enjoyed a big smile and an infectious laugh. She loved all kinds of music, dancing, and doing her makeup. Empathetic in the extreme, she was the underdog's biggest advocate. Oh my God, I'm going to start crying. And against all circumstances, when she could be, she was a loving, gentle, and doting mother. Just last year, she spent a few hours in the pool with all 4 kids. The youngest has since been adopted by a loving family, and it was a rollicking madcap outing featuring a water slide and peals of laughter. It was at this point where she was the happiest we had seen her in years. Megan grew up in St. Albans and Georgia, Vermont, participating in dance and swimming. She proved to be an adventuresome reader and a fearless jumper off cliffs. But on July 1st, 2005, she was once again at a cliff on Eagle Bay in Burlington. I was sitting at my desk on the first day of a new job, and a Vermont state policeman called to tell me to drive to the emergency room at the University of Vermont Medical Center. I was told that she had been pushed off the cliffs and hit the rocks below with her face. Having been rescued by a man in a kayak and EMTs, she was being stitched up and her jaw was wired shut. They suspected a TBI, but when they prescribed her liberal doses of opiates, she lost control of her life. She would be in and out of rehab and jail for the rest of her life, the next 14 years. To editorialize, I am hoping that the Department for Children and Families rethinks its mission to be the punisher of addicted mothers, separator of families, and the arbiter of children's futures, and instead embrace a mission of enhanced rehabilitation. We as a state are overwhelmed by addiction. We have almost nowhere to turn. I encouraged enhanced funding for treatment in general and using DSC as a gateway for mothers with addiction to get help. Because, as one would guess, once the mother is separated from her children, desperation sets in, even with the brightest and most determined of mothers. And Megan Angelina Webley was that bright and determined mother with a fatal disease and a dearth of treatment options.
It was so profoundly impactful to me just because, it's that struggle. You just hear the struggle in the words of the family and the children who are left behind, um, and the lack of options, and defects. I don't think that their heart's in the wrong place so much as it's in a misguided place.
Is,
The Punisher, that was so beautiful. The Punisher of addicted mothers. Like, that's not what we need. We don't need punishment. We need help.
absolutely. You need someone to reach out their arm, extend their arm to you in that darkness and say, let me pull you back up. As a child, as a product of addiction between two parents, a mother who just struggled so hard, at such a young age, and it ripped her life away, and since better, but
Exactly. Yeah.
I've watched it do that. And so we automatically look at these people that are addicted and we say, you know, no, I don't want anything to do with you.
Right.
Like,
Just do
it's
better.
ugly, it's dark.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do better. Like they have a
Just-
choice.
Exactly.
And I'm going to speak from my heart right now. Like, I going through, I had an ovarian cyst burst, and they prescribed me medication. I didn't have a choice
Right.
but to take it when I was in there.
Mhm.
And I hated the way that it made me feel. And this is coming from someone who has done lots of drugs and partied it up and enjoyed it, But now, like, on that other side, I hated it.
Right.
And when they released me with a prescription, at first it was like, well, we can, they asked me, like, do you Percocet or whatever? I'm like, no, I don't fucking want that. Like,
Yeah.
well, we're going to give you this Lortab prescription. And if you need to fill it, and I just thought, and it was everything that I could do. I've not had like an addiction like that per se, but I know that lives inside of me. And I
Mhm.
know, I'm in a very transformative part of my life. And as much pain as I was in, I refused. And I
Right.
had to reach out to my friends who CBD oil, and I sat in child's pose, it's a yoga thing, for hours. I had to deal with that pain and sit in that pain, and it was horrible. It's still horrible. It sucks. But it was so easy for that doctor to just sign it away. I'm like, I'm not even a person. Like, I'm laying there and I'm thinking, is there not another way?
Right.
You know?
Well, and also I think doctors are kind of evaluated on like how good they can make you feel. You know what I mean?
Like, what is your pain level? When you go
Right,
in there,
it's a
it's
10.
up on the wall and it's got the
It's
smiley
always
faces.
it's an 11, sir.
1 to 10. It's a
Yeah.
fucking 24.
Yeah.
Excuse me. I'm probably going to say the F word a lot today because that's just where I'm at. God loves me still.
Mhm.
But,
Yeah.
I don't know. It just hurts.
Right.
Like,
And I mean, I remember being like after I gave birth and, going home with a prescription for honestly something I did not need at all because I was not in any pain. But, I liked in the delivery room how I had all this energy. I was like cleaning up the delivery room and stuff, I'm like, yes, this is it. And they told me, oh, it's safe for the baby if you breastfeed. It doesn't get into the breast milk, blah, 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 blah. I couldn't drink. And this is way before I found any kind of recovery or had any real self-love or self-esteem, but but I want to talk about the defects thing. We have 1 minute, I think, but
this is
This
important.
is
If we
really
have to come back to
important.
it, let's remember because it is important.
it absolutely is. And one of the things that I think is the disconnect between like these government agencies and actually helping people is that we, the people who have been through it and made it to the other side, don't have a voice in it. We know what works. I would know what
Right.
would have worked for me because I've had defects in my life. And I know that they just basically tell people, oh, just go to rehab. That's really hard.
Right.
It's like impossible to get into a rehab. We
And
have,
what
like,
about my life at
3
home? Now I'm all
exactly.
worried about what I'm leaving behind.
Exactly. We have like 3 state-funded facilities that people can afford, which state-funded means it's not free. It means
No.
it's on a sliding scale based off of your income. And that's household income. That's not your income. So if you
Mm-hmm.
live with your parents and they make a lot of money, you have to pay that full price,
Right.
and it's not geared towards, you know, listening and being compassionate. And I think that that's just what this whole thing needs is more compassion, more empathy,
More
more
empathy.
love, and coming from a greater place of that it's possible to recover, that we're not the downtrodden and the hopeless.
Yeah.
There we
And
go.
and
That's all
and,
I
and
wanted
maybe
to
we
say.
are. Maybe we are to you.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hello.
Hi, Mark.
Hello there.
How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. Thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing so wonderful. I'm very, so excited to talk to you. Let me just sing your praises for one quick moment. So I took one of your classes on Udemy,
Right.
and I loved it so much that I bought all the rest of your classes, every single
Oh,
one.
wow. I knew you bought a few. I didn't realize you bought all of them.
Yes, I got every single one.
And she neglected to tell me, or I probably would have too. So I guess I will be also.
So I think you're just absolutely
No,
amazing. And my favorite
just
thing
you.
in the morning is to see your posts. Monday through Friday, Mark does on manifestation coaching on Facebook.
Oh, thanks very much.
Yes, and the first thing I do is listen to your video. So this week I have listened to my favorite song every morning, and it
Oh,
works.
wow.
Yes, so that's like my get up and go. I'm just like, because usually well, I do meditate first, but I like what you say, like just be excited. That's Mark's catchphrase, I think. Be excited, get
Be
excited.
Yeah.
excited. I like it.
Yeah.
So why don't you tell
Well,
us a little bit about you? Sorry, I
She's
took
real
over.
excited.
I'm very excited.
it depends on where you want to start, really, because I suppose I've been on this journey for about 22 years,
Uh-huh.
and um, something always happens in people's lives, that kind of really kickstarts them. And I think for people to kind of change their lives, they have to hit rock bottom, because otherwise, where's the incentive?
Right.
And most people on this planet are actually asleep, and they just live their lives, and they kind of go through a kind of daydream, and they think they're alive, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
They're consciously asleep as opposed to being consciously awake. And for me, I got myself into some serious problems in 2014, which resulted, I was like heavily in debt. Everything I did kind of went wrong, and then you try and make it better, but it just gets worse. And then I lost my 16-year marriage because of that. I had health problems. I had like 14 operations on my vocal cords, depressed.
Right.
I didn't know I was depressed. And it was only at the beginning of 2015 that I went, do you know what? I must be doing something wrong. And so I kind of hit rock bottom. And I thought I knew everything about everything, leading up to that point. I was an expert in attraction. I was an expert in this. I was an expert in that. And my ex-wife then said to me, well, look, if you're that good at these things, why is everything going wrong? And I went, good point. So
You're supposed to know everything.
yeah, I know. But it's from the 19th of January 2015, I decided to do the opposite of everything I was doing and try and rediscover what I was doing wrong. And it's really kind of like from there. I'm one of these kind of really nosy people, and so if you take me to someone's doing a talk, I'm the guy that sticks his hands up and keeps asking questions. So why does this work? Why does that work?
Right.
How do you know that works? And what I've done is I've kind of re-questioned everything, and we all have this connection. I just call it a connection, but a connection to the kind of spiritual world. So I then discovered exactly how everything works, but did it from a very practical point of view. So in other words, I was the guinea pig. My life was a total mess. In fact, it was a disaster in most places. And I had to fix it. And if I didn't fix it, where else was I going to go? Because I was at rock bottom. And it was during the course of that period from then to now that I tested everything that I thought was correct, retested and checked on everything. And then I found how things work, so I'm able to describe, how the physical and the spiritual world work together. And I've had tons of fantastic experiences, and I've met some absolutely awesome people. Some of them I'd classify as kind of walking avatars, that have on that journey allowed me to kind of connect like a jigsaw all the pieces together.
Hmm.
And from all of that, you start to learn things, but then you start to rediscover, which we all have, individual skills and talents doing things. Like manifestation's a skill.
Hmm.
It's nothing more than that. But when you know how it works, which is the most important thing, then it makes it work really well. If you don't know how it works, then the kind of mechanics behind the back of it, then you've got no idea whether it's going to work for you or it's not. And people tend to block things like manifestation and attraction.
Right.
So that was my journey to now, where all the debts are repaid, the health's really good, personal life's great, and I've only just started, I suppose, it's in just the last year, kind of putting the courses that you were talking about together.
Hmm.
And, they've just kind of expanded. I mean, I've got something like 12,000 students in about 133 countries,
Yes.
just off the back of. And the only reason why I put those courses out there was to see whether anybody liked them.
Uh-huh.
'Cause I didn't know if they would. I didn't know if my presentation style was correct. I didn't know if what I was putting out there would be well received or not. And so it's been as much as a learning journey for me as it has been for the people that I've been so grateful that have come along and been able to improve their lives off the back of the stuff that I've been able to show them.
Right. Well, I mean, I
There's,
think you're immensely talented. I
Absolutely.
really
oh, thank
enjoy
you.
your classes so much. So we were gonna talk a little bit about like a little bit of a connection between the law of attraction and maybe addiction and mental health.
I
Yeah,
think that
Yes.
connection is
Yes.
enormous, and
I
I don't think
know.
people realize that.
Right.
And I think we need someone that's kind of we can say it because we walk through it, because we are walking through those programs and we
Hmm.
are doing those things, right? But you need to hear it from someone that has studied it, that can tell you the dynamics behind it, and so can you do that for us?
yeah. So where would you like me to start? Because there's two sides of the opposite coin. I mean, one's attraction,
Right.
which is like how we live our lives,
Hmm.
and mental health is. Mental things. See, the thing about mental health though is we're all different. We're all individual, and we
Right.
all react
Right.
differently to different situations around us. So, somebody that's $500 in debt, for example, could really feel the pain of that. It's considerably more than someone that's, say, I don't know, $50,000 in debt.
Right.
But one sounds worse than the other, but it's how we deal with things in life. And I think with mental health, I mean, I've suffered from it, but I never knew I had it. I never knew that I was suffering, in that way. I just treated life as life,
Right.
and whatever was going wrong was going wrong. And do you know where can I throw this in as a kind of starting point?
Yes.
Um, when we talk about mental health, a lot of people have addictions.
Hmm.
And if I can explain where addictions come from, it then starts to kind of unravel the mental health side of things.
Right.
Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, please.
Um, well, in life, what happens? Well, the thing about addiction. So we're talking about either food or drugs or alcohol or shopping or sex or even lying. Lying is an addiction. All of these things develop in life because people create holes, what I call holes. So in other words, something, either in terms of a bad experience happens or they make bad decisions and it creates like a space in their life, like a hole.
Hmm.
But rather than dealing with the issue, they ignore it. They wander around it. And this thing keeps on, this hole exists. All holes exist. And people then fill those holes with other things like food or, so saying, or drugs or drink or whatever.
Right.
And what's happened, and you'll start to see, well, if I explain this, you'll see this in most people's lives, probably about 99.99%, is that what people do is they give away control over aspects of their life.
Hmm.
So in other words, rather than looking after their health, they have this hole that they'll carry on eating and they'll carry on using, using food to kind of fill that hole.
Right.
And what we all do is when we were born, we were given control over our lives. There's universal law number one is free will. And free will says you can do and be and have anything that you want in life. And you were given control. But during our lives, because of these bad experiences and these bad decisions, things happen and we lose a bit of confidence. And because we lose that confidence, we start to give away control. No one can take away control from you. No one can take away free will, but you can start to give it away.
Right.
And when that happens, we start to become less than who we are. And it's a bit like kind of a slippery slope that you start to go down.
Mm-hmm.
Because you've got less control, you have less confidence. So something else then happens in your life, and therefore you lose more confidence, you give away more control, and you come down and down and down. So on this slippery slope coming down, what happens with the mental health, if you like, as a subject, starts then to become very relevant, because in life you can only be one thing or another. This is a fifth universal law. It's called choice. So in other words, you can only be happy or sad, right? You can't be both. You can only be wet or dry. You can't be both. You can't be like, you one thing or the other. And what happens is you either got confidence or you've got no confidence. It's one or the other. And so what happens is during life, we give away control. So we give away control over our finances, because we go and say it's easy just to go and borrow money, and we'll put things onto a credit card, and we're taught that that's the right thing to do rather than attract money into our life. We go and see the doctors and say, give us more pills, for my depression, as opposed to dealing with it ourselves, and we're giving away control over our health. I was in a relationship where I was a square peg in a round hole, and that was just to keep the relationship going. So I gave away control over myself, because I became different. And what happens is, because you're giving away that control, and you're becoming less and less and less and less, then this is where the kind of mental health thing starts to kick in, because, rather than being excited about your life, you start to live in fear, which is the opposite thing. Rather than having confidence, you have a lack of confidence. And the mental health comes from losing an aspect of control over aspects of your life. Giving it away. And it's very easy to take that back.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if you've ever seen the video I've done, where you can take back within 20 seconds control over your life. Have you ever seen that video? No?
I don't believe so.
I don't think I have.
I can do it with you right now live if you want to do it.
Let's do it. Excited.
And this one exercise is just incredible. So like, what happens is you can only be one thing or another. So you're either happy or sad. You're either up for life or you're feeling down. And one of the purposes of us existing as humans is to lead exciting lives.
Mm-hmm.
And the more excited you are about your life, what it does is it opens up these, what I call doors, to the spiritual world. Because the spiritual world, all they want to do is help you, give you more things, give you more luck, more coincidences, more people. They want to introduce more good things into your life. But if you're feeling down, then you shut all those doors and nothing can come to you because you've blocked it.
Right.
Whereas if you're excited and you feel in control of your life, all those doors are open and all these good things come in. So I created this technique, and all it simply does is it puts you back in control of your life. And that is a choice. You can either choose to be in control of your life or you choose to give it away. It's one thing or the other.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're depressed and you're feeling down, it's because you've given away that control. And if you really want to feel great, you can take it back immediately. So the technique that I created, it only lasts 20 seconds. It's just a series of words that you can mix around. But the way that you would do it is, it's as if it's the most important speech you've ever made,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it comes from just a pure expression of energy. And do you want to do this? Do you seriously want to do it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. So what I'll do is I'll take you through it.
Okay.
It's a series about like 5 or 6 statements, and I will say it, and then I want you to repeat it,
Okay.
right? And what I want you to imagine is in life. You remember, like, I don't know if you remember back to when you were at school. There's always a bully. There's always someone that pushes you around,
Yes.
right? And,
Yeah.
and they push you back and they push you back and they just niggle away. And there comes a point when you're you've really, really peed off with this person. I won't swear, right? But you've really, really peed off with this person. And you decide to push them back, right? Because you've had enough, right? You're sick and tired and you've had enough. And you shove them back. And you find out that bullies are cowards at the end of the day. So what happens in our life, it feels like life, like that bully, is pushing us around and pushing us around.
Hmm.
But when you push back on life in the same way as you push back on the bully, life basically backs right off and then gives you the space to be everything that you want to be. So what we'll do is we'll go through this, and we'll do this just now. So I'm going to just give you a statement, but I want you to come back at me. You just repeat the statement as if you're pushing back on that bully, as if it's the most important speech you've ever done, like it means more to you than anything else in the world because you are taking back responsibility of your life. You got it?
Got it.
Got it.
Got it. Right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to do the 5 or 6, and we're going to do them, say, gently, and then we're going to have another go, but I really want you to kind of go for it, all right?
All right.
I'm going to ease you
Yes.
in. Right. So what
I'm nervous.
so first statement, right, okay, is this is my life.
This is my life.
I am in control of my life.
I am in control of my life.
Life will do what I tell it to do.
Life will do what I tell it to do.
This is my life.
This is
This
my
is
life.
my life.
I am in control of my life.
I am in control of my life.
And life will do exactly what I tell it to do.
Life will do exactly what I tell it to do.
Right. Okay, brilliant. There's no magic to all these words, right? They're all very, very similar. We're going to do it again, but the emphasis is like, this is my life, right? I am in control, right? So break the words up a little bit. So rather than flowing, they're kind of slightly disjointed. And what I want you to do is, you're probably working at about 70 to 80% of what I know you can do, right? So
Because we're scared.
I know. You've got to go for it.
Okay.
Go for it,
All
right?
right.
We're going to do it again. Right? But this time, remember, you're pushing back on this bully, right? You're sick and tired of being pushed around. You know, you're taking back control, and this is the most important thing that you've ever said. So the energy, as you say these words, will get higher and higher and higher. And you will feel, and if anybody's listening to this and they're doing it, you will feel the energy within your solar plexus, within your body, because everything is energy in life. And I can explain that later on as to what that means. So we're going to give it a go again, right? You ready?
Ready.
Ready.
Ready. I am in control of my life.
I am in control of my life.
This is my life, and I will lead it how I want to lead it.
This is my life, and I will lead it how I want to lead it.
I am in control of my life.
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 I am the boss of my life.
I am the boss of my life.
I am the boss of my life.
Yeah, that wasn't very good. Do that again. I am the boss of my life.
I am the boss of my life.
I am in control of my life.
I am in control of my life.
Oh, fantastic. Now give yourself a big round of applause. That's really important.
I feel the energy for sure.
Me too.
Right down my
Like
spine.
warm. Like
Yeah.
it's like I feel really
Tingles.
warm everywhere.
Yeah, I feel
Right.
hot.
So
Hot.
if you if you imagine, like, you've got things going on in your head and, life's terrible and, blah, 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 blah. And you were to do that, now it could be once an hour, it could be once every 2 hours or 3 hours. In the moment you do that, you lift yourself up. So because you're feeling that good,
Yeah.
you're taking back control. Now, the more you're feeling down and depressed and whatever, the more times you would do it. And then suddenly you find yourself in a place where there's no need to do it, or you only do it whenever you want to do it, just for a laugh, because it makes you feel good. And because it's putting you back in control of your life, then you can either have mental health issues or you can have no mental health issues. And I'm a very black and white person, and I believe that's something of choice that a person has. Some people like having mental health issues. They like the woe is me and how bad my life is and
So
all of
true.
these problems and please come and help me and I need more help and isn't my life rubbish and crap? Because that's what they like. They like the attention. And those people, I'm sorry, until something wakes them up or they hit an absolute low, there's nothing you can do because that's the world that they want to live in. And that's where attraction comes in, is because, as you know, whatever you focus on, you attract.
Right.
I have
And
a
if you're
quick
putting
question for
out-
you before you go any further. Before I lose it, and I don't want it to go away. I hear what you're saying, and I believe in that. But there is a question that I have, and maybe you can provide some enlightenment. Do you believe
try.
that these people who are addicted to their mental health or addicted to the attention from it, do you think that that's trauma based? Do you think that there's something to dig deeper, that they won't face it until they're ready, or there's something else? But do you think that there's some sort of trauma involved in that?
I think there has been a trauma because remember I was saying about your bad experiences, bad decisions, you lose confidence,
Right.
you give away a bit of control, and then
Right.
it repeats
Right.
itself. And then after a while, you kind of go, "Oh, my life's crap,"
Right.
and then
Right.
it gets more crap because that's what happens
Yeah.
in my life.
Right.
Right.
And I
And
know for myself, the addiction lied in, the it was almost like this reason I had, the depression, the anxiety. It was this reason to self-medicate. It was this reason that I had to
Yeah.
hang on to. And
Right.
and just like you said, lower and lower and lower,
Yeah.
my thoughts got
Mm.
lower and darker and just, and it was
And
like
it was
this,
almost like it's
yeah.
comforting.
It
It's
was
like
comforting.
to sit in that dark, deep place.
Because I knew
Yeah.
what to expect. Anything else
Right.
outside of that, it was a risk.
Right.
And I wasn't
Right.
willing to take it yet. I did, and I'm glad, but
I'm just glad that you
Now I take
touched on
risks,
that when
healthy
you
risks.
said that, when he said,
Yeah.
Mhm. It's a
some
choice.
people love it. It is a choice, but there is also, I think that there's a fine line with it. But you've got, if you're walking that tightrope,
Mhm.
you choose that, right?
Right.
Like if you're wavering and you're about to fall, which way will you fall?
Right.
And this is what that manifestation is. I'm so drawn to it. It is so powerful, and I'm going to take all of your classes now.
Please do. He's amazing.
Thank you, bro.
Yes.
Oh,
Oh.
but can I
Anyway,
also
go
say
ahead.
that
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's like, interrupt me because I talk too much.
No.
Can I also say, and other therapists out there, I have no professional training at all in anything, right? I've learned everything as I've gone along, and anybody can do the same thing, right? Because you can ask questions. This is what manifestation is all about, and the answers will just come zipping into your life. What I will say, and this will be very unpopular with all the people that make money out of this, is there is absolutely no need to go back in time and deal with the trauma, right? The past is the past. If you try and go back, and this is a generalization, if you try and go back and go and sort the thing that happened, in most cases, you'll make it worse because maybe you're not strong enough to have dealt with it, or there's not enough of a support mechanism around you. And the past is the past, it's gone. All you've got is the present and the future. And so all you've got is how you feel right now.
Right.
So you've got to go, what happened to me in the past, is you could look at it and go, it happened, it was there for me to learn from. I had to go into serious debt to understand how to get out of debt, how to attract the money to come in.
God, that
right?
makes so much
Everything I've learned,
sense.
Right.
everything I've learned now, I've learned because of the problems that I had. If I never had the problems, I'd never be doing this, and I'd never be who I am.
Right.
So actually, would I be happy to go through those problems again? Well, yes, of course I would, because as painful as they were, I'm happy with who I am now. And I've got rid of most of my ego, not all of it.
It's
And
a little bit
you
is
know,
healthy, just a little
it
bit.
is, isn't it? Yeah.
I believe
Um,
that.
and so this trauma thing, if it's happened, it's happened,
Mhm.
right? It's happened for a reason. Just accept that, and then basically you deal with the present. You put yourself back in control of your life, because all there is you at the end of the day, and all there is your feelings and the emotions that we've got were given to us for a reason, because we can convert all the emotions into energy, right? And it's energy, which is everything in life is energy. So our words, our thoughts, our actions, and our intentions are all energy.
Mm.
And it's whatever you're putting out is effectively, well, not effectively, it's entirely what dictates what then happens next in your life. And you have control over that. This is the point. Everybody's got control over their lives. But most people give that control away in parts, in loads of different ways, without realizing it. And it's only when you take it back, you go, you know what? I feel fantastic. I love this.
Yeah.
I'm in charge of my life. And when you realize that,
Mhm.
and you feel the difference, why would you ever then give it away again? Because
Right.
it's a bit like, I know I see this in my life, you can be up 1 minute,
Mhm.
and then something happens and it pulls you down. But because you know the difference between feeling good and up and feeling crap and down,
Mhm.
you turn around and go, no, this feeling down is completely unacceptable. I'm going to take myself back up again.
Right.
And if you imagine there's like a water line, and above it is a place called excited, which is like the one condition the universe has you have to be in to make attraction work. You've got to be excited about different aspects of your life. And below the waterline is a place called fear. Because remember I said there's a choice. There's only one thing or another. And if you live in fear, it just means you're worrying about this and you're worrying about that. Now, when I was going through my problems, I would wake up and I would spend 99% of my time in fear. I was worried about, was I going to get paid? Where's the next money coming from? Was I going to be able to keep the house because I was that far behind with the mortgage? Would I have any money to buy any Christmas presents for my kids?
Right.
And because I was focusing on all of those things, I attracted in more crap. I attracted in more financial problems. And I was in control of all of that. We're all brilliant manifestors. And if you've got crap things in your life, it's because you're brilliant at manifesting crap. No, it's true.
I have been
we're
so
all,
brilliant
we are
at
all
that.
amazing manifestors.
It's true.
It's true.
But that's the point about control. You can either manifest good things or you can manifest crap. And if you've got crap, it's because you've manifested it.
Well, it just
And
goes
when
to
you
show you
realize
how
that,
powerful you are. We are very, very powerful. And
We
when you
are.
decide and take responsibility
yeah,
for your power, that's when you get to see your dreams come true.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm just an ordinary guy, right? And I like, talking. And but I've got this understanding how things work, and and everybody can develop that kind of connection to the spiritual world and ask questions, and all the answers just come in. And it's just that I understand the relationship between the physical and the non-physical,
Mm.
and because of if you understand how things work, it makes it so much easier to make them work. And that was always key for me, particularly over the last 4 years,
Right.
is understanding, why does this work? Why does that work? Why? And why is a powerful word. You keep on asking why and why, and then you suddenly get all these answers will come in. And you're like, oh, the light bulb goes off, and you're like, oh, that's how that works. And then suddenly, it's like a jigsaw. Everything connects together. And you go, life is meant to be simple, right? It's meant to be easy. It's meant to be fun. It's meant to be enjoyable. We're meant to lead exciting lives. That is why we're here. And if it's not, change it.
Change it because you can.
Absolutely.
You can.
Change it because you can.
And it took me a long time to actually change my life. Like first I had to start with just my day-to-day thoughts,
Yeah.
That's where it had to start for me. I just began meditating, and I'm an addict, or, I don't like to really say that, but, I have an
Mm.
addictive
I'm
personality. So
obsessed.
I became
I'm
obsessed
obsessed.
with meditating, and I did it 3 or 4 hours a day. And I just did it all the time because
Oh,
I felt so good doing it. And it changed my whole life, and I didn't see it at first, but it felt good. So I did it, and I didn't stop. Um, and it just became such a habit for me. And it's so rare that I miss a day meditating, and that was 5 years ago. So,
I can't meditate.
huh?
I can't meditate.
You can't.
What?
Nah,
It
nah.
is
Yeah.
really, it is a very patient driven
Yes.
process, and it is very, and I think it looks different for
For
I think here's
everybody.
the thing
And I
is that
think, you know
like
what,
you
Mark? I think
think,
you do meditate. I think,
yes,
but
it's just
I think,
different.
yeah,
It looks
mindfulness is
different.
meditating. You know what I mean? Being aware of your thoughts and feelings and actions.
Yes, that's meditating.
meditation.
It's a very broad term, and I think
Yeah.
it's not sitting there and saying "Om" for an hour. Like
But that is how
it is. I mean,
How
I
about
don't mean to
you
say
do?
it isn't, but it is. It's whatever it when you're practicing mindfulness, whatever that looks like for
Right.
you. And these, I'm gonna have to get a new pair of these guys because they
Right
will
here?
not stay in. They won't stay in my ears.
Are they in the right ear?
I can just imagine you sitting on the
Sorry.
kitchen floor,
Squirrel.
levitating about 6 foot off, thinking on for about
You
3
are
hours.
very close.
They are in the
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
ear.
No, I haven't levitated yet, but that's a goal.
All right,
Let
that's
me just
They're
tell
on.
you that I had basically I didn't work, and I had 2 kids, and they were both in school. So I had so much time on my hands, and I didn't want to go back to the life I was leading. So that's what I chose to fill it with,
yeah.
and it brought me to all these other things. I mean, I had that turned into like an addiction to conspiracy videos on YouTube.
Oh God, don't get me
which-
started.
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, I did that for like a year, and I couldn't stop. And I mean, but I just learned so much, and it really opened, it just really opened a space
Let me
inside
ask
of
you something
me.
really quick. I think this is important to touch on and might be profound for someone out there. Weren't you were starting to gain that enlightenment in addiction?
Yes,
I remember us because we've known each other
long time.
lifetimes, I think, probably. I remember us having these discussions. We've always had these like enlightened discussions, but it was in the middle of your addiction. Isn't that interesting?
It is, and it just
You
it
were
just
calling
goes,
your higher self, like it was calling to you
it
in
was
that
calling
addiction.
me like the entire time, really. And I don't like to put like I don't know. I think you can recover in so many different ways. You know what I mean? Like I was recovering
sure.
these pieces of my life, like kind of slowly but surely. And it just, it was slow and steady.
I just thought that
Yeah.
that was, if you are listening to this and you are in active addiction
Mhm.
right now, I want you to know that like there are steps that you can start to take. If you're not ready to take that leap into going to a center or facing that, that outside world, that the reason that we have this amazing human being on the show talking to us today is
Oh,
to teach you like there are things that you can do within
Right.
yourself
And you can
and
take
you
your
can
power
start
back,
because you started that journey
a very long time
a
ago.
very long time ago.
Very long time ago. And it's always been I feel like, my addiction my whole life has been a spiritual journey, like leading to the moments that I'm having now, and beyond. But, you kind of have to go through that dark to get to the light, and got to live through the
You can't
rain
have
to
one
see the
without the
rainbow.
other.
Exactly. Mhm.
You really can't. I don't believe you can, and maybe that's just because my life has been that way, and so I can't see any other way. But I just think as human creatures, you have to have one to appreciate the
Absolutely.
other.
So sorry, Mark. What were you saying?
Here we go again.
Totally
well,
interrupted you.
let me throw in a question then,
Yes.
right? What is the purpose of our lives? Why are we here?
Right. And what I've found is to experience joy and to learn lessons, like soul lessons,
Mhm.
overcome things. And I mean, personally, I kind of feel like I'm a truth seeker. Like that's what I like to seek out.
Yes,
The truth as my soul understands it. And the truth changes daily.
absolutely.
I mean, my truth 5 years ago is not my truth today.
Right. Is that question, is it the same for all of us? Like, here we go. We're just about to be just going to go down a rabbit hole probably here, but is it the same for each and every one of us? Or is why we are here different?
All right. To answer this question, it's a yes and a no to that.
I thought so.
There is, right. So for example, right, I mean, the reasons why we're here is to evolve. Okay, so we're this third dimensional physical being, and the question is, can we evolve? Can we become of a higher vibration where we can do more things than this physical body that we think allows us to do? So we have that as a common denominator. We're here
Mm-hmm.
to lead exciting lives, right? So it's another common one. We're here to help each other, right, along the journey. So, the people that need more help, you just help them. They're all common to everybody, so that's a kind of common thing. I suppose the answer to yes is to your question there as well, is do we have an individual purpose? Well, we do. Do we know what it is? Some people are very good at helping other people. Some people are very good at inventing things.
Right.
We've all got individual talents, and it's using those, to the maximum ability. Maybe your purpose is to bring up your kids in a certain way,
Right.
and that's maybe your purpose. And people have got to try and discover what it is that really makes them excited, and in that they'll find their purpose.
Right.
Because the two energies all interlinked.
Mm-hmm. It's just that following that spark, that passion that brings you alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The most important thing, though, that I feel like I've got to say to you, though, is the physical world as we understand it is only 1% of everything.
Right.
If you try and find physical solutions to physical problems, it's like pushing a very large rock uphill. It's hard work, right? At some point, it's going to stop. It's going to roll back and maybe go back over you. It's hard work. What you have to do is stand back and go, okay, what I need to find are the spiritual solutions to the physical problems, because the physical world is only 1% of everything. The spiritual world, the non-physical world, is 99% of everything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're a tiny dot. I talk to people about a chessboard, but instead of 8 pieces by 8 squares by 8 squares, make it 10 by 10. We're just at one corner.
Right.
But then there's something that's like 99 times more powerful than the most powerful thing that we think we could be.
Uh-huh.
And the way to kind of look at things is, if you think back to when you were most excited or most happy or most in love, or you had the most amazing time, and you said that it is possible for you to experience something that's 99 times more than that, right? I can't get my head around how amazing that is. But this bit about what I was saying about evolving, this is where we are only 1%. And the evolving takes us into the 99%. So in other words, things can be so much better than what we think they are now.
Mm-hmm.
But we only have these blinkers that we wear based on the life that we have, that we think things are a certain way. You're going on about conspiracy theories. So this works perfectly with all of that.
Yep.
Because we're taught that things have to be a certain way. We've got to be brought up a certain way, borrow money in a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
Support governments in a certain way. And these are all controlling factors. Religion, the whole lot, is all a controlling factor.
Right.
But when you start to look at and start to understand how powerful the spiritual world is, like, all they want you to do is to evolve and have better lives. And they are there helping you 24/7. That's why manifestations work so brilliantly for some people and not for others, is because some people understand that everything that comes into your life comes from somewhere.
Mhm.
So if I said to you, where does a good idea come from? What
Right.
would you say?
Right. Where does
Well,
it come from? It's just like
where does it come from?
it's just poof
It,
there. It's
uh,
and it's there.
you
Yeah.
manifest
So,
it,
Yeah.
but where does it come from?
Right. It comes from the
yeah,
divine, I believe.
Yeah,
yes,
99%.
exactly.
yeah.
Can I say
So
something
you're
about
about,
what you're saying?
yes, yes,
And it's
of
just
course.
to prove how profound it is and how how greatly it does work. You posted a video about exactly what you're saying, and you said to do some things in the morning so the 99% will know what to help you with. And I wrote
Yeah,
that I needed like some really amazing guests on the show, and I wrote a couple things, and that video led to this conversation right now. Because that day I went on your page and you posted something and I responded. You posted about a burning desire and I responded. And it was all because and it's funny because that was the video for Monday, but this was a Tuesday.
yeah,
So I watched it on Tuesday
mm,
morning, did what you said, and that is the very reason we're talking right now.
brilliant. Because
Yeah.
what you did,
I
what
followed
you
your
did was you
instructions.
no, well, you did that, but what you actually did was you took control of your life.
Hmm.
Because you did that and you created defined things you wanted to happen,
Right.
and because you were feeling good about it all, that good or excitedness that you were feeling opened up these doors. And because your doors were open, the spiritual world was like, oh, fantastic. Right, we can give you stuff now. Yesterday you were all moany, right, and complaining about this, that, and the other, and your doors were shut. We can't help you then.
Right.
But you've just got to open up the doors. You told us what you want. Right, we can help you. And the difference between the physical world and the way things happen in the spiritual world is, say, like, I don't know, I always use the analogy, like, I'm moving house, I phone up a friend, say, I've got some boxes, can you come and help me for a day move house? No problem.
Hmm.
And then a couple of days later, I'm like, can you come and help me for another day, unload all my boxes? And they're like, well, I've already given you a day, I suppose I'll come round. And then I phone them up again and go, look, I need my garden dug. Would you come and dig my garden and help me do the garden for a day? And they're like, hold on, wait a minute, Mark, right? You've not got any other friends. But in the spiritual world, it's different. When you ask for help and you're excited about your life, that help comes in. If you recognize, like I was asking about ideas,
Hmm.
where it's come from, and a good idea comes in or some help comes in, and you recognize it by just saying thank you in your head, however you want to do it, divine, universe, spiritual world, whatever guides, it doesn't matter, it's all the same thing. And you do that, they recognize in you that you know how this is now linking together. So what they then do is they come tapping on your door and say, what else can I do for you? What else can I do for you? And then you say, oh, well, can I get some more help here and here? Yeah, of course. What else can we do? What else can we do? So in the human world, we're like, well, I've helped you once, I'll help you twice.
Right.
It's getting a bit much. It's the opposite.
Greedy.
It's the opposite. Yes. But it's the opposite over there because you've
Right.
got something that's 99 times bigger than you could ever imagine it is,
Right.
all wanting to help you. So they're giving you ideas. They're introducing you to people. They're giving you coincidences. They're bringing in luck,
Mhm.
right? They're giving you more and more and more and more and more of this stuff to make your life better. And when you recognize where it's come from, they'll give you more and more and more and more. And then suddenly you go, actually, I'm now beginning to understand the link between how this all works. And this is the absolute key thing. Once you understand that connection and the fact that you're in charge of that connection, and it's you that's made it happen, and you're in more control of your life than you were, and you're feeling more excited about stuff, and it's that which is opening the doors and stuff is coming in, and you know where it's coming in from. You're going to go, I did that. I'm in charge of that.
Mhm.
Actually, I can do more now, and that's where suddenly, mental health disappears
Right.
because the opposite. No
'Cause you're
two
empowered.
opposite things can exist in the same space. You can't be wet and dry. Only one thing can exist in that space in that moment. And it's impossible to have mental health when you're feeling really good about things.
Yes. And that is so true. For so long I really depended on And I would always say, like, my anxiety, like, I claimed it, like, my depression, my
Yeah,
anxiety, it
yeah.
was such a part of
Dig a
me,
hole, dig a
and I
hole,
Not like
dig a bigger
couldn't
the
hole.
depression, the anxiety.
no,
You
it
had
was
already identified
mine.
that as a part of
Yes.
who you
It
are.
was mine, and I had to
Yeah.
have it, and I wanted it because it made me feel comfortable, it made me feel secure. Letting go of it, and I've had trauma. I've had a lot of trauma in my life, but I had to stop identifying with it, and I had to stop saying this because of this one situation, my whole life is going to be ruined. My
Right.
whole life, every
Mm.
thought I have, every feeling I have is going to be controlled by this one situation, or a couple situations. And I said, enough is enough. I
Mhm.
wanted to take my power back. I learned how to do it,
Yeah,
and it grew from there. And I got more and more powerful and I got more and more happy, which is all I wanted
fantastic.
anyway.
Right.
All we all want is to be happy.
Yes,
All we
Right. I
all
think
very
that's
well
want
all
said.
that
is to be
it really
happy.
does boil down to that is that
Mhm.
where we can find that joy and what is our happiness. And we've gotten so confused and society has just,
Exactly.
indoctrinated, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I can't say my words
Indoctrined?
today. Indoctrined.
Is that right?
God bless my heart. What was the other word I messed up?
I
Anyway, you
don't
guys
know.
know what I'm trying to say. I mean,
Mhm.
we've just become a culture. We've gotten so far away from who we were created to be.
Exactly.
And when you get to that point and you realize, like, this is not how, whether it's God that you believe or the higher power, whatever it is that you believe, and the reason, and I think there's some really good conversation happening in the comments right now, and we will touch on those. But the reason that we're kind of doing this is to give you that there is another point of view, and to have these healthy,
Yes.
stimulating conversations to where and that's the person that I am. I think that I know that's who Chrissy is, and I think this show wants to represent that too. Is your recovery, your mental health is yours. I mean, it's going to look different
And
for
it's your
everyone, and it is
responsibility.
your responsibility. But we are showing you
Yeah.
another avenue.
Right.
Um,
And this is an avenue that has worked for me.
right, right. And it's important to and it's working more and more. And there's just if you read scripture, if you read Old Testaments and things that you will see this sort of play out. I'm just
Right.
sort of touching the surface of this, but I'm very drawn and very pulled,
Mhm.
and am starting to find like healing. I never I thought I would in changing my way of thinking.
Right.
So I just wanted to kind of throw that out
And I
there.
just want to read one thing that somebody I absolutely love commented, and they said, "I think our purpose is to be the essence and embodiment of love, and live in a way that contributes to the movement towards complexity for our human race." And I think that that should be a goal for everybody:
Oh, that's
live
lovely.
more in love.
Yes, yeah,
Yes,
that that's us.
if you've got love,
Yes,
then hate can fail to exist.
exactly. If you have
It's just
love,
that you can only
yeah,
you can only have one thing or another.
exactly. If you have
And
peace and
whatever that
serenity,
person said was spot on.
hmm
Yeah.
I thought it was beautiful.
I think that's brilliant. I do. And I don't and here's another thing, guys. We don't have to agree on
Mhm.
everything either. This is just that healthy, stimulating conversation again, just to kind
Right.
of like I want to know what other people think. I want to know what you think. Our listeners, of course, we want to talk but we need to be in that space where we're comfortable doing that and having conversations that aren't comfortable to have.
Right.
I know that this is heavy. Manifestation in itself is heavy.
Because it can feel impossible.
Right.
Because you're really battling your own mind. That's what
Right. You're in
manifests
a war
until
with
you
yourself.
exactly. And Mark, will you talk a little bit about resistance?
Okay.
Like resistance, like what happened or how people can.
Maybe starting with, so Rich asked, do you think that willpower,
Oh, he was
that
responding to
person has
something else. Yeah.
okay, yeah, but maybe that willpower works, kind of holds hands with the resistance. Is that kind of what you mean? Or the
Well, you
resistance
got two
of,
things going. You got two things that are going on there, right?
Right.
There's resistance, but we'll deal with them both separately, and then we'll see how they actually see. To be honest with you, a lot of the time people ask me things. I have no idea what the answer is, but when I start to talk, I'm
Mhm.
amazed by what I say. Right?
it just
All
comes
the
out.
Right. Right.
it just comes out, and I'm like, wow, that was incredible. Right. So here's how it works. Right. No, I'm serious.
No,
Right.
you are
It's all
incredible.
about being inspired.
Uh-huh.
So what happens is like we worry about things, right? So we're going to talk about resistance. And the way that I try and describe this, if you've got a very large elastic band in front of you, and every time you worried about something or you were concerned about something, you hold this band out in front of you, you stretch it and stretch it and stretch it and stretch it,
Mm-hmm.
and your life gets tougher and you stretch it and you start to worry and say, that's not possible, I can't do that. This is impossible. You come up with all the reasons why your life's rubbish or you've got a lack of confidence. It's like pulling this band wider and wider and wider apart. And the more you pull it, the more tension there is, the more resistance there is, the harder your life feels. At some point, and this is really hard, you let go, right? You just you've had enough and you let go. And if you can visualize this, that elastic band comes bang, it comes shooting together. And when that tension disappears, you feel light and free. Okay?
Right.
And we tend to put ourselves under a lot of pressure. This is this constantly pulling this rubber band further and further apart. The willpower thing is partly belief. Do I have willpower? It's partly do I not have willpower? It's partly having given away so much control over your life, different aspects of it, that you start to believe, you start to think you don't have any willpower, and it's easier to fall back into that kind of place. And it's only by, like I was saying earlier on about taking control back, that you get more willpower, which then gets you more confidence, which gives you more willpower, which gets you more confidence, and then you start to find yourself with more strength in your life. You're talking about resistance. Well, that resistance, every time you pull that band, is a lack of confidence, a lack of belief, a lack of certainty, and it's more and more and more and more pressure. So you have the two things going on, and if you can learn to let go of things, because the more things you worry about you attract more problems in. If you can learn to let go and then take back control, those two things then come together, and there's less resistance, and you've got more control. So life's easier. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I'm just hearing that recovery and all of that. I'm hearing how big of a role all of that plays in your recovery. So it speaks intrinsically to that, to
Absolutely.
transforming addiction into recovery, and the same basis with mental health. It's just you have to elevate yourself. You have to change the way that you think. And it's not an easy process. It's not going to be handed to you in this nice little neat package like you want, because that's, again, the society that we are. Fast, easy, cheap, like that. But
can't
that
go through the
self-work is
drive-thru.
hard. No, you
Get
can't
it.
pick it up through the drive-through. You're going to have to, that's great. That's good. Can't pick happiness up through the drive-through. In fact, you're
Opposite.
picking up toxicity through, oh my God, I said a word right. Look at that. Ugh,
You said a couple of interesting things there, right? Which are based around belief. And you said it's hard. Who says it's hard?
because we say it's hard.
Yes, and then
Right,
who
because
says
we
it's
say
hard?
it's hard, and that's
Yeah.
kind of where I've kind of the enlightenment for me, and this is just in the past few days. People will say things, or I'm saying things to myself, or I say them out loud, and I was like, "But why is it? Why is it that way? Because because you say it is, because you say it's that way." So
Yeah.
it's so
What
funny
if you
you
thought
said
it was
that.
easy?
Right.
What if you thought it was easy?
Change your belief.
And that's the difference with the resistance. Every time you said it's hard, you were pulling that elastic band more
Right,
and more
right.
and more. Right? And you're
True.
going, it's hard,
It's
not
hard.
easy, it's hard.
Yeah.
You realize, you see this elastic band's getting more and more and more. You're like, I feel the pressure. This is going to be really difficult. And you go, what if it was easy? What if you said to everyone that it's easy? All you've got to do is get a little bit of control back. And here's a question for you girls, right? What makes you excited in your life at the moment?
This show and relationships. Well, one.
Yeah.
Yeah, what was that again? Say that again.
I said this show, my work, and my relationship.
I have to say this same thing. This new thing that I have,
Yeah.
and the show. But I'll be to be completely. It's this I find so much joy and happiness in helping others, serving others, healing what they say is broken, what is broken, helping them find that. And I'm just exploring what that looks like for me. I know I was supposed to heal people in some way, or help them heal
Yeah.
themselves. Maybe that's the better
Yes.
thing I need to say.
Yes.
And it gives me immense joy because I'm almost, I'll be 40 years old next year, and it's like taken me this long to find that thing that, oh my gosh, it's like the heavens opened up and the light pours down. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is it. You know, so those three things for sure, to know that like
Fantastic.
there's a
But
purpose.
here's the thing, right? When I ask people what makes you excited in life,
Mhm.
right, they will look at me with a complete and utter blank expression on their faces, and I go, I ain't going anywhere until you tell me something that makes you excited. A lot of people will stare back and go, I've got no idea. I've got no idea. And I said, surely there's got to be something that makes you excited. What's coming up in the next week? And when you dig and dig and dig and dig, you'll find some things. But boy, do you have to work hard to find out, or they have to find out what makes them excited. And that's the point. A lot of people have lost that ebb for life. They've lost track of who they are. So when you're talking about addictions, if you want a starting point, it's one, take a little bit of control back over your life. Feel good. Take a bit more back. Take a bit more back. Baby steps. Really get good at that exercise. The more control you get back, the more confidence, the more belief. At the same time, you have to have a purpose. You spoke about it earlier on. So I'd say, what's going on that makes you excited? Find things that make you excited. It could be a coffee with a friend. It can be seeing, I don't know, the sun come up, right? It can be, I get excited by small things. It can be anything. It can be big things. Anything that starts to make you excited. If you can find out what those things are, it
Mhm.
brings in more things. It starts to wake you up. You start to get more of a purpose. You can only be one thing or another. And the more in control you are, the less mental health issues you've got. The more excited things are going on, then the less trouble, grief, mental health issues can exist because it's impossible for them to do so. So when people have to, that's the starting point for everybody on mental health is more control, more control, more control, more control, and feeling good about themselves. And then being able to identify the stuff that makes them excited. And the more excited they become, the better their life is. And as I'm saying, the answers to everything were always meant to be simple. Life's meant to be simple. And if you can do those two things,
Right.
then your life just totally changes overnight if you wanted to, if you believe it's easy.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Right. It's all about belief,
Mm-hmm.
And I think we were talking about a little bit of, and somebody brought up traumas and things like that. And I learned through some things that, it's not that actual one situation, that trauma that makes your life go the way, that it's gone,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's actually the beliefs that you create out of this about yourself and about life out
Right.
of that one situation.
How that identifies you, that your
Exactly.
trauma
And that's what
identifies you.
trauma really is. That's why it lasts so long, because you create these beliefs and they affect your entire life, and they're not even conscious beliefs. They're in your
Right.
subconscious,
Those
which
are
is
things that
90%.
happen to you.
Exactly. And that's 90% of like your automatic responses to life is through your subconscious. It's not even, it's, and you can't even change it with your conscious mind.
No, you definitely can't change it with your conscious mind. And I
Or
will
it
say
takes
I'm
a long
still
time. I'm not saying you can't,
well,
but it takes a very
right,
long time.
a lot of work. So that's, when that point, I guess I can't remember who it was that made that, and she said, you just can't, tell me how you can heal yourself, without like digging
Healing
through your
past
trauma.
traumas, right.
And so I have that question too. Like I'm hearing this and I believe in it. I totally do. I would love, I know I've done a lot of work
Mhm.
to kind of heal from those things. And I still have to catch myself in certain situations, kind of reverting back, but knowing that's not who I am, that those traumas and those things that happen, they don't they don't get to define who I am and who I carry myself to be and who I am in the future. So I think I think it's good to talk and touch on that since we still have you. I don't know how much longer we have you, but we did have a listener who commented and said, please tell me how you can heal without, digging through that
Addressing
trauma.
past traumas. Yeah.
Well, I wrote down some things just here, right? Kind of popped into my mind.
Mm-hmm.
If you imagine everything in life is difficult, hard, and it's permanent, then it will be, right? When you look at life and go, let's say you've got a challenge going on, whatever it is, if you can accept it's just temporary, right? Something that you talked about resistance earlier on, that's that last, that big rubber band. Suddenly you've let go of all the pressure because you go, okay, it's just temporary, which means it's going to pass. If you know it's going to pass, then suddenly it makes it a lot easier. So look, if you have challenges at the moment, right, addictions, whatever going on, if you can accept they are just temporary, then that makes things so much easier. And this is what we're trying to find is like, how do I make it easier? How do I make it better? If you've got challenges in your life, all they are indicators, nothing more. Like it's like in your car and your kind of fuel tank. How much fuel you got indicator that says how much fuel you've got in there. If your life is like, let's say it's gone wrong or it's a hassle or it's challenges or it's addiction, whatever, it's just an indicator that you've gone off in the wrong direction. You've
Right.
lost maybe your connection. You've given away some of your control. All it is just an indicator. It's like having no money in the bank is an indicator you're doing something wrong in your life.
Right.
When money comes into your bank tomorrow, it's an indicator that you're doing something right.
Right.
Everything's temporary. It's just an indicator. And, the thing about traumas is they do define you, right? They do define who you become because you can either look at a trauma and go, oh, this has ruined my life, in which case, what are you attracting, right?
Right.
What does that mean in terms of going forward? Or you can go, no, that trauma's happened. It has happened. There's no need for me to deal with it. It's made me who I am now, which is a more stronger, more determined, more learned person. And I'm going to use the lessons from that to move forward to make my life better.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It's a lesson. Treat a trauma as a lesson.
Right.
And
I've noticed
go
when
on.
anytime I do any like the traditional therapies, like talk therapy or anything like that, which I do believe are quite antiquated. Sorry if I offended anyone, but
I don't get a lot out of it either.
well, I
No.
find that I'm unpackaging all this stuff, and when we think about something, we talk about something, our brain cannot distinguish the difference. We are there in that moment,
Yeah.
so all that trauma, all that feeling comes back, right?
And I think it has its place, so please don't
Yeah,
misunderstand
it
what we're
absolutely
saying. But
has its place,
I
and
agree with
it's
you.
good, yeah.
I can talk to you for free,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay, so
Right.
I don't have to pay anybody.
And I found a lot of times that I was going to these professional people and they weren't repackaging
And
the
they were
trauma.
prescribing me medication.
Exactly. And I didn't think that, I'm like, no, I'm here to like heal. I don't want to feel this way anymore at
No,
all, ever
and I don't want you to
again.
numb it
Yeah.
either.
I can't numb it. I don't want to talk about it. I want to heal from
I
it.
want to
I
be
want to
better.
change. I was going to change, and we kept talking about the past when I'm trying to like go to the future,
Right.
create a better
Yeah.
future. And you can't do that by talking about the past constantly.
It's like a pond, right?
Right.
If you decide, in the same way that you're going back and talking about, so I said at the very beginning, there's no point in going back and dealing with the past and the past and the past. You go around in circles. It will drive you nuts. You'll go nowhere. And it's like seeing a pond and getting a stick, and then you stir it all up, and all the gunk and the dirt at the bottom floats up to the top, and then you've got to wait for it to go down to the bottom again. Right? You just keep on stirring up emotions, and and then you start giving it, they make you feel bad, and then you start saying, I can't deal with this and I can't deal with that, and you have highs and lows, but more lows and highs, and you're going round and around. It's like a dog chasing its tail. Why do that? What's happened in the past has happened. Treat it as a lesson. Use that as a strength to move forward, and all you've got is the now and going forward. So take control of now. And if you felt excited about your life now, if you're in control of your life now, the trauma can't exist. It's
Right.
impossible. You can't have the opposite things existing at the same time. It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
It's impossible. And what people what people do is, going back to this other point, they like the woe is me, and going back to, because they feel comfortable with the trauma. And they feel comfortable talking about their problems and how life, how difficult things is. And, it's rather the devil you know than the devil you don't. And here's the exact analogy that describes this, right? You are a chicken, and you were born in a cage, in a barn, with loads of other chickens.
Right.
And the cage door is open. You can leave, but the farmer comes in, and he gives you your corn, and he gives you your water, and you just lay eggs, and you've lived your whole life that way. And then the farmer comes in one day and says, you know what? Let me show you something. And he opens the barn door, and he says, look at this out here. You see these fields? You see these trees? Never seen fields and trees before. Boy, do they look beautiful. What about that thing, that big orange thing in the sky that's radiating heat? Oh, the sun. Oh, man, that's amazing. And he says, look at the world out there you can have. How gorgeous is it compared to being in this barn with artificial lights and a cage and straw and food? You can go and get live food, beautiful food out there. Food that's, so much better than the food I give you. And the chicken looks at him and goes, you know what? I'm going to go back in my cage because I know what my cage is all about. And that's what people do. They get comfortable in the problem. They get comfortable in knowing how thing is and the trauma and talking about the trauma. They get comfortable in that. And they fail to step outside of the barn and go to where life is that much better because they feel comfortable where they are. And those people will stay in that same place because they're going round and around and around.
Right.
And it's just that same analogy with a chicken. And you have a choice. Your choice is stay in the barn or go and explore this fantastic world that's out there.
Right.
It's a choice.
Beautiful.
It is beautiful. I think that's a perfect place
Beautiful
to land.
analogy.
You
Yes,
know, I think that's a
absolutely.
perfect place. No matter what you believe out there, I think what you just said, I think is kind of universal.
Yeah.
And
Everything is.
Right.
right, exactly. And this has been so enlightening for me, and it's so insane for me right now because I have been walking through this for this past week. I've been down, like I've been put, to where I can't, because I'm this goer and this doer, and God or the higher power, whatever it is that you believe,
Mhm.
put me down and said, you have to sit here and you have to be still. And there are some things that you need to come to grips with, and there's some things that I need to show you. And I think this is very much a part of that. So you helped me a lot. Thank you very much.
Oh, cool.
It was it was very enlightening. I encourage anyone out there listening right now, please, if you feel led to, really go check out Udemy and check out some of these classes by Mark Wynn. They are phenomenal. And my absolute favorite is, hold on one second, I'm gonna go to my classes right now.
What
but
do you mean
I'll-
you don't know?
Oh no,
You
I
don't
do.
know
It's
if
just
you-
I
no.
want to give the
You don't
specific
know. That
name.
is
I want to
terrible.
give the
That is
specific
terrible.
name,
You've done all the
Mark.
classes, you don't even understand. Oh, that is shocking. You don't even know what the favorite one is. You've got to go look it up.
Alternate reality life
Gotcha.
transformation course.
She's got a lot in her brain.
Oh, wow.
That's
I
my
mean,
favorite.
just-
That was my first one. And it's only 2.5 hours, and I loved it so much.
Yeah. I keep everything really short. Some
I
people do
like
courses.
that.
Yeah, they go on for like 15 days. And I'm like,
Ugh.
why?
I
Why?
took
Just,
one.
it's simple.
I know. It was insane. Totally crazy.
Yeah. Can I plug just a couple of things
Please,
so people
please,
want
please.
to find
Yes.
me? I literally went live today,
Mm-hmm.
but I've put up the course that people love the most is my instant manifestation course, because I explain like a bit of like what I've done today in terms of how manifestation actually works.
Right.
And then I've thrown a technique in there, which is so simple. But if I gave you the technique first, you'd go, nah, that doesn't work, which means you would block it. So I've put a site that went live today called instant-manifestation.com. manifestation.com. The back end, in terms of being able to buy the course
Right.
and all the great stuff that comes with it, like the 10 Universal Laws as another digital course, won't be up and running for about another week. So, but people can see the kind of stuff I do. And then the other thing is that if people want to join the group that you're in, the Manifestation Coaching on Facebook, that's the stuff that goes out every single day and takes people outside of their comfort zone. They should get part of that group, because that's where the energy is that good.
Right.
Everyone's bouncing off each other, that I'm able to help everybody individually, because I try and reply to every single comment that goes up. So if people want to find me, those are probably the best. That Facebook group, Manifestation Coaching, or if they want to check out Udemy, as you say, or the instant-manifestation.com, that's where they'll
I
find me.
put a link in our comments on the show, so
Oh,
if anybody wants to
fantastic.
check it
Thank
out. And also your coaching. So for your coaching page, the Manifestation Coaching, can anybody join that? How does that work?
Yeah.
Anybody
I mean,
I hope so, because
Okay.
I just
Okay.
tried.
Please accept
Yeah.
Christina Michelle
Yeah.
Henry.
no, everybody can join. I mean, I made it as a
Fantastic.
closed
I'm
group
gonna
because
type again.
I see these law of attraction Facebook groups, and they drive me nuts.
Yeah.
Because you put these posts, I will be a billionaire by Tuesday. Say yes. Everyone goes,
That's
yes.
Right.
ridiculous.
That's
right. So
probably-
this is where people go wrong, right? And I've seen a lot of this on my group this week. Is you can either do something to improve your life, or you can do nothing. And people want to do something, and they say they're going to do something,
right.
but then they never take any action, right?
Right.
They never get outside of their comfort zone. So, like what I was talking about, like with money songs, and you listen to, as well.
Love the
Get people
money
to do this week was,
Yes.
but these are things that I think I've created because I haven't seen them anywhere else,
Yes.
and they take me out of my comfort zone, but they lift my energy right up, and so everything I get other people to do is because I'm doing it myself, and therefore I know it works, and so what I see people doing is they go, yeah, I'm going to do all this, and then they do nothing, and their life never changes, and that's the difference. Like you with the meditation, you committed to doing it because you had an addictive personality and you like doing it, and you enjoy doing it, and you saw the benefit of it.
Oh, I will commit to something.
Yeah.
Don't test
But
me.
other people,
Don't tell me I won't.
Yeah.
but the thing is, we have to do something that improves our lives. So,
Right.
Let's say today, I'm doing this manifestation week thing, as where I'm giving everybody new things. So I said, right, today, all I want you to do is once every hour. So you're awake for 16 hours of the day. Once during the hour, like put on some music, listen to the words, and then just change them to be about something that you want, big, that you want in your life. But change the words so it's like it's already arrived. So you create these kind of songs. So, like for example, Jingle Bells would be like, I know it's Christmas time. This easiest example I can think of is where you'd sing Jingle Bells, jingle all the way. You'd change the words to money's come my way. Oh, how fun it is to have money in my bank today. Hey, right? So,
I'm singing that one.
On the whole way home.
but it could be Beyonce, it could be Jay-Z, anybody
Yes.
comes on the radio,
Yeah.
right? And when song they're singing, so whatever it is, if it's a relationship you're manifesting, if it's money you're manifesting, you just change the words to like it's already happened. And it's totally and utterly nuts. Anybody listening to you would probably put you in a straitjacket and take you away. but you feel so good. No, seriously, you feel so good from having done it. And you're talking about 15, 20 seconds, right? Do that once an hour, for the course of the day, and suddenly you're on this almighty high. Because you're feeling that good, that's the only thing you can feel.
Right.
Nothing else can exist.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, as I'm saying, everything is, it's simple. It really is. And it's just whether the people want to do something with their lives and be the chicken that goes outside of that barn and sit in the sun. Or do they want to go back to the woe is me, My life is terrible. Everything's too hard. You know, I've got all these challenges. I've got all this trauma. I've got this addiction. Nothing's going to work for me. Nothing's ever worked for me. And I'll get back in my cage and I'm actually going to shut the door. I'm going to lay an egg.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful.
What do you want?
Those
What do you want?
are your choices.
What do you want, people? Go
What
out
do you
there
want?
and get it.
Yeah.
What do you want?
Seize
You know,
the day.
you-
I'm the boss
it's
of my
your life.
life.
Your
This
life
is
I'm-
my
this is
life.
My life.
Yeah, and I'm in control of my life.
I'm in control.
Makes me feel very powerful.
It
when
really
I say
does.
My life.
My life.
Wow.
My life.
Well, Mark, we appreciate you so much. This has been such a
that'd be
joy.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yes, please. If you have anything else, you know, if you ever want to come back on, we would love to have you. You are amazing.
No, I'd be delighted to come back on whenever you like.
Wonderful. I'll get the time zone right next time.
Oops.
No,
I'm sorry. Yes.
no, honestly, just, if you want me back on, ask me to come back on, give me a couple of topics that you need some answers to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe,
for
and,
sure.
and
I'll
if
talk
our
about
listeners have any questions, please send them to us for Mark.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
absolutely.
We'll do a little Q&A.
Right. Oh,
That
that would be fun.
amazing. Yes.
I think that's probably necessary. I think we share
Yeah,
a lot
I
of
think
information,
and it's
so it's
People have a lot of
to
questions.
process.
Yeah, how to manifest what they
Sure.
want out of life. It's
What
a
does that
daunting
really
task,
mean?
Right? Mhm.
Right.
So
So,
I'll put that together,
yeah,
and
write
we'll
that
put
down.
that together, and
do that.
Q&A for Mark.
La- la-
Awesome.
last point.
Yes.
Last point. We as humans make things complicated,
word.
Right to your
right?
mother.
We make things complicated. Life is simple. The answers are simple. Everything's simple. Stop complicating it.
Yes. Amen.
Mhm. Amen.
Right? It's
Hallelujah.
simple. It's whatever you believe, and it is simple.
Beautiful.
Love it.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and we will be in
No,
touch.
it's been my pleasure. No, my pleasure.
Yes, we'll be in touch very soon.
Okay, accept me in your
Lovely.
group. 'Cause I'm waiting.
Oh, I don't know about that. I'll have to think about that one.
Oh,
I'll come
nice.
Do
straight
you
off the
believe you
phone.
can get it?
Do you believe? Right?
Do you believe?
Do you
Yeah.
believe?
I believe it.
No, I'll do it. I'll do it straight away. I'll do it
Okay.
straight away.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks, girls. That's
All right.
fantastic. Thank you.
You too. Have a
All right.
fantastic day.
Bye.
Bye.
You too. Thanks. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye bye. You know what? I'm totally using. I'll do that
Wait.
straight away. So
I love that.
I'm totally
I love
gonna start
all of
saying
it.
his. Listen, I got this whole
yeah.
thing about
Excellent.
accents. It's just like just talk, right? But now I'm just gonna say I'm gonna get on that straight away. I'm gonna try to work on my accent because I don't
Exactly.
really have one other than this weird Southern, like not necessarily Southern. I've got a weird. It's weird about my accent. When I hear it, like when I listen to the show, I'm like, I guess you can tell I'm from the South, but there's some, like I'm really good at enunciating when I'm not.
There's our other
Oh.
caller. Awesome. Hello.
Yes, this is Justin.
Hey, Justin.
How you guys doing?
Doing great. How are
We
you
are
doing?
rad. Totally rad.
Fantastic. Let's say thank you guys for having me on the show today.
No problem. Our pleasure. Thank you.
We're
Okay.
really excited. Excited.
Very
To be excited.
Be excited.
Absolutely. And thank the guy that was just on too. Thank you very much
Oh,
for coming on.
Isn't it cool to like listen to I'm just like I love to listen to other people's viewpoints. I may not always agree with you, but I want to hear what you have to say, right? Like always.
Absolutely.
Let me
That's how I
hear.
learned.
Like
Right.
open your mind and be like sponges.
right. I like to say always stay a beginner. Always
Right. You
stay
just never
willing
know.
to learn. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like
So-
somebody tells me like the wise people learn from, the people who have been there before and everybody else in between.
Oh, beautiful.
I love that.
Absolutely. So,
we,
go ahead.
I was going to ask if we were ready for some experience, strength, and hope today.
We want to hear it. Give it to us.
Please.
How did you get into
Lay
recovery,
it on us.
sir?
Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to start for everybody who's out there listening. First off, I just want to say thank you. And it is a blessing for me to be able to be on this show today. I'm glad that life isn't fair because if it was, I wouldn't be here today. For everybody that's listening, my name is Justin Feen. Yes, that is my real last name. I didn't change it after my addiction.
We're so glad that you said your name because we were before the show. I hate to interrupt. I'm just interrupting today. We were like, how do we say it?
I thought it was fine.
It's fine. No, it's fine.
I like fiend better though. That's
Yeah, I like
very-
it better.
like that a lot.
Okay, carry on.
Sorry.
Sorry.
about that.
Being with an H, I'm 33 years old. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I am a dad. I'm a brother. I'm an uncle. I am a son. I'm a grandson. And I was absolutely none of those things when I was actively using. So I'm going to go back all the way to the beginning. My story does have, some trauma in it, some ups, some downs, and everywhere in between. I'm going to try not to leave anything out for you guys. I'm going to give it to you guys raw. I'm
Okay.
going to give it to you guys straight, and it's going to come straight from my heart.
Beautiful.
So my earliest memories of life was actually when I was about 3 years old, and I didn't find out that I was 3 until about 2 years ago. But I remember sitting in a tub in the middle of a room with a bunch of people around me, and it was my dad and his friends, and they were all smoking crack. And I found out that later on that night, some of the dealers had kicked in the door and really roughed everybody up, and my mom happened to show up during that time while it was going on, and she asked the guys, she said she didn't want to have any problems, she just wanted to get her son out of the actual out of the problem area, and they actually let her do so, and she took me away. And my dad struggled with a lot of addictions, so my mom actually ended up giving him another chance at watching me about a month or so later, because a lot of times, we try to change for certain things. And she believed that he had done so. And she dropped me off at his house. And less than an hour later, he came back to the house, my mom's house, and rang the doorbell and left me on the front porch. So since I was young, growing up and always believing and always looking back on that, kind of had a hard time with that. I kind of felt unwanted for a long time. But growing up, I realized that, that wasn't a life sentence for me, and nor was that mindset. So as I got older, I struggled with a lot of things. I was given a lot of medications for depression, things of that nature. And drugs and alcohol actually started a little bit late in my story. It wasn't until high school. And mind you, my mom did her best, man. I love her to this day. She always tried. She was a single mom, raising 3 boys. She was working 3 jobs. And unfortunately, there was a time when I had to be left at a babysitter's house. And he was actually the person who was watching me primarily. And it actually turned out that he was molesting me during that time. And she didn't know. And as a child, I didn't say anything to anybody. And I just kind of kept it inside for a long time. Like I said, I'm from the south side of Chicago, not a good area. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot as a kid. I've seen people get shot in my driveway. Just a lot of instances that were traumatic for me as a child, and growing up to believe that, like, this is the norm. Like, this is normal. So for a long time, I didn't talk about any of these things. I didn't do anything about them. I just kind of kept them inside. And I got to high school, and I always, I kind of stuck out a little bit from everybody else. I had the mohawk going on and different color hairs. That's how I identified, and that's who I was back then, and that was okay. And then it got to my sophomore year, and I had been catching a lot of flack from everybody in school for being different and whatnot. So I joined everybody else. I started dressing like them. I started acting like them. I got into the whole gangbanging thing. I got into the crime thing. I got into the drugs that they were doing, the selling of drugs, the using of drugs. And that's when life really started to hit me. So it started off with just the normal things, whether it be like the marijuana, the alcohol, things of that nature. And it progressively got worse, and it got worse faster. So if I think about over time, like what got me into recovery, my answer would probably have to say the brokenness, the pain that I was feeling, the empty void, the things that I should have had inside, but I just didn't because I covered them up with all of the outside materials and the necessities, and whether it be the sex or the girls or the drugs or the alcohol, whatever I can throw into that void to try to help myself feel better, I did. So that came with some consequences. I ended up going to jail for a little while. I ended up being homeless for a little while, and that was nothing on my parents or anything else. But if my mom would have allowed me to stay at the house, I don't feel like I would be where I am today. Now I hear people say, if you enable the addict, you kill the addict, and for me, that was probably very true. I am a real deal problem when I'm using, so I needed a real deal solution. So imagine my mom always sent me to church, and I went to the church thing, and I actually went to Bible school for a little while. I graduated Bible school. I was a commanding officer of my ROTC program. So everything's not negative. I had some good times in there too, but it's funny because when I was using, when I look back on my life, all I seen were those negative things, those negative instances in my life. And, I used to think in my head, well, if other people went through what I went through, they would be acting and doing this stuff too. And I used that mentality for a very, very long time.
Right.
Eventually, I met a girl, and she got pregnant. I ended up marrying her, and I have a beautiful daughter to this day. But we ended up moving together. And then my daughter was born. Mind you, I was still actively using at this time. The birth of my daughter did not stop me from using at all. If anything, the fear of being a dad kind of perpetuated the using. And it just made me more isolated on the inside, but I was able to hide it a little bit better. I didn't want anything to happen to my daughter because I never cared about what happened to me. I never cared about hurting me, but I did care about hurting other people at that point in time. I didn't want to hurt other people, but I wanted to hurt myself, not realizing that when I hurt myself, I was hurting other people.
Right.
Because I didn't want to see that. So my daughter was born, and that's when things started getting really, really bad. That's when the pills came back in 2010. I was diagnosed with a spinal disease, ankylosing spondylitis, and the doctor told me that I was going to have to be on prescription painkillers for the rest of my life. And let me tell you, back then in my insane mind, that was the best day of my life. Oh my goodness, I'm going to have to be on prescription drugs forever? These narcotics forever? Perfect. Because back then, that's how my brain worked.
Yeah.
And I remember going back and telling my wife at the time, there's nothing you can do about this anymore. Because now I have a valid reason. Look at this paperwork right here. The doctor says I have to have it. And I mean, looking back, it's absolutely insane. But what ended up happening back in 2010, right around my birthday, which was September 2nd, my wife had enough. She actually ended up sleeping with my next door neighbor. My car had just lit on fire the day before, September 1st. And on September 3rd, my best friend growing up died. And I was already in a broken place. I was already in an empty place. And then she took my daughter and she went to her mom's house. And sitting in that apartment and realizing that I had failed and seeing all of my daughter's stuff there and seeing all of my life there really, really broke me. I ended up going next door and knocking on the door to my neighbor's house, who she had slept with. And he opened the door and he said, "Are you here to kill me?" I said, "No, man, I am not. I would just really like if you took me to the hospital right now." And that was the first time that I went into a psychiatric unit of a hospital. While I was there, they told me that I had a drug problem, which I already knew. And they told me what I could do about it. They told me that there were some meetings out there that I can attend. They told me that, I can seek help in this place, and this place. And I was really going to do it, guys, but I was going to do it by myself.
Right.
I would attend these meetings. Sure, I'll go. I promise I'll go. Just anything to get me out of this psychiatric unit at this point. I was there for a while. I didn't feel like I wanted to die anymore. I felt like I was going to get back on my feet, and I was going to take care of my daughter, and I was going to do every single thing possible to maintain my marriage and my parenthood and be a good dad. So what happened is I got out. I went back to that lonely, barren apartment, and I remembered that I had some stuff left over that I didn't do. And I said, you know what? I can flush this, or here's a better idea. I'm going to take this stuff and I'm going to start again tomorrow. And what happened is I ended up taking that stuff. And then when tomorrow came around, I went out and got more and more and more. And I put myself right back into the same predicament that I was in before because I wasn't quite ready yet. So, feeling like I wanted to die again and seeing how bad everything was. And my wife definitely wasn't bringing my daughter back at this time. I went to treatment. I went to treatment for 45 days. I came back from treatment, moved back to the same area where I did have family. My family, let me tell you, I'm the only addict in my family. Everybody else is, what we call like normies, I guess.
Nice people.
Yeah. And you know what? Extremely loving people, man. And I want to thank all of them because you know what? Despite what I did to them and despite everything else, they never turned their back on me. They loved me through it all, and they prayed in silence, and they supported me without enabling me. See, they were doing exactly what I would do for somebody else right now without even knowing that they were doing the right thing, man. And I love them all to death to this day. So I got back from treatment, and they told me to, go to meetings. So I was taking a little bit more serious this time. So I went to meetings. I got a sponsor. I did what they asked me to do. And I really took off running. And after about 4 months, I decided that it was time for me to be in a relationship. And I did that and completely quit focusing on myself and anything else.
Right.
And the relationship became my prime thing. And, I put my recovery last, and that's exactly where it ended up being. So I ended up getting right back into the same patterns of behavior. See, this whole time, what I failed to realize, and the concept that I wasn't grasping, was the spirituality part.
Right.
I could go to the meetings. That's fine. I can do my steps, but I wasn't quite ready. I got to my 3rd step, and my 4th step was scary. And I realized that I didn't want to do the 4th step because I didn't want to do any of that, And I know a lot of people have told me now, like, nobody's ever died from doing the 4th step, but people die every day from not doing one, and that really hit me because I understood it. So I got back into the same patterns of behavior and back into the same things, and ended up going to treatment again, and ended up getting into a relationship after that again. And the same thing happened again. Very, very hard-headed I was back then. And I wasn't ready to listen. I would listen to people to respond, but not to understand. And I feel like that's a really easy thing for me to do because I was still stuck in a mentality that I shouldn't have been in anymore. So I ended up going to treatment, going through the whole thing, where I learned a lot. I don't negate treatment at all. I loved it. They taught me a lot of stuff there. I was able to process a lot of pain and a lot of my trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And the more that I did that, the more that I realized that the things that have happened to me were not a life sentence. They were not going to define me going forward. Did they happen? Yes. Was my life a mess up to that point? Absolutely. But I can make it a message. See, those tests that I went through could become a testimony to other people, and they can help other people. And I realized that it wasn't about me anymore. None of it was about me. I used to sit in my room all by myself and say, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why not, one of my brothers? And eventually I came to realize, why not you, Justin? Why not you? Look at you today. You're strong today. You're patient today. You have a passion and a drive to help other people today. Look at what has happened and look who you are. Look what I've done. Like, and for me, a person like me who really was, down and out for a super, super long time, for me to be able to stand on my own 2 feet today and to smile and to have that relationship with my family and to have joint custody of my daughter today and to be able to have a healthy relationship today where my girlfriend has 2 beautiful children as well and they call me dad and look up to me today. To have these things today, if I would have thought back then, if you would have told me that this was how my life was going to be today, I would have thought you were absolutely crazy. I would have told you that there was no way. I would have told you that I would have been dead before I was even 30 years old because I was on a crash course to do so.
Right.
I was on that road. And, it wasn't until, people really reached their hand out for me and people loved me until I learned how to love myself that I was actually able to stand and actually hold my head up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it didn't happen for me overnight. It took some time, and I didn't get it on my first time around or my second time around, but I got it. I have it today, and I only need to have it today. And tomorrow, if I end up doing the same thing that I did today, chances are, if I'm grateful when I wake up in the morning and I can name things that I'm grateful about, and I could look out into the world and see the sun come up, I can realize that today can be a great day too. And I was going to live a great life if I continued to make the right choices.
Very nice.
I don't know if I got chills because it's cold in here or because I felt that in my very veins.
Maybe both.
Maybe a little of both.
Yes,
It
think
is
so.
such the message that you are saying is the message that that's who we are. That's why we do this. That's what we stand upon is just listen, all you have is this moment, this right now. Nothing else is promised to you. And like you said, just if you get that blessing to wake up tomorrow, just do do your best to do what you did the day before and live in that grateful, beautiful space.
Right.
I want to say I'm so proud of you. I'm so honored. Every time I hear one of these testimonies, it is an honor. It is a privilege. It is a blessing to listen to your story, and your truth and your.
And it takes a lot of strength and
so
bravery
much
to tell it, because
so much.
there is a stigma around addicts that we don't change and that we go back to our old ways.
Right.
Eventually.
That's who they are.
And that's the belief that they want us to have, I think, because we're easier to handle when we're complacent and nobody.
Sure.
But, when we're
Absolutely.
strong and we've been through the trenches and we're warriors and we fight for, the underdog, that I think that scares people.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Sure.
And I think it was almost hard for a long time to be a male and to talk about,
Right.
the molestation and other things like that, because there's this nasty stigma for
Right.
males that you have to be strong and, we have to be masculine and whatever
Right.
happens, we just need to brush off and keep going. And
Absolutely not.
I'm here to tell any guy out there, man, like what has happened is not a jail sentence for you. It is not. We can get up and we can get past it and we can do it together. And if you're struggling with something like that, man, feel free to reach out.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Are you getting?
I am. I'm gonna tag you.
I want to say that I want to follow up with that. I think for men, let me tell you, a woman thinks that is so attractive. For you to be, not that that's why you should do it. That's not what I'm talking. But I'm just saying, you know what I mean.
I love you. I'm sorry.
I'm not. You know what I'm saying. We're not having this conversation. We'll have this conversation on the way home. Again. No, but that's it. I think that is a big part of it. Like, we are just human beings.
Right.
Just be a human being. Stop putting all these restrictions on who it is, and don't let all those things that happen to you that society tells you are dirty and don't
and
let
wrong
and
or something,
yes.
don't put a label on
No.
your life, these things happen, and
Absolutely.
they happen for, I have to believe, because I was a product of this too, but I
Me
have to believe
too.
it happened for a reason. Have to.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it happened in my life,
And that's where we
you
look
know,
where we are today because
right,
of it.
because of it.
Because of
And
it.
I get to feel empathy and compassion
And
for
what about
somebody
those
who's
people
it's
that you
happened
will
to as
reach that
well.
others cannot? And that's how
Right.
I look at it for me is when I look at the tragedies and the trials and whatever you want to call them, I am able to speak to people of God's grace and his and this beautiful person that I am and always was and I get to say that to people that can't be reached on by by most people. And I think
Yeah.
that's why I do this.
That's beautiful. So what do you have going on now?
I'm so glad that you asked that. So I just moved to West Virginia,
Uh-huh.
with my wonderful girlfriend here, Melissa, who's also been on the show before.
Hi, Melissa. I love you.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi.
Ah,
Is she
there?
Okay. So I just moved to West Virginia a couple of weeks ago, and we're able to do a lot of good stuff here. There's a lot of
Awesome.
people here who are hurting in Parkersburg, and we do have a solid recovery base here
Mhm.
as well. But like one of the greater things that has happened in the past couple of days, like it's really hard to find work where I am. And I was able to go take an aptitude test that only 30% of people pass. And I passed it, and now I got the job. One of the better jobs that are out here. And I get to
Congratulations.
actually start
Amazing.
tomorrow.
Woohoo!
Yeah, and we're also able to do a lot of stuff for the homeless and other people out here that are struggling.
Beautiful.
I love it. I love what you guys are
Absolutely.
doing. I love it.
Did you? How do you help? Is it like through a nonprofit, or you just go and help people?
Go and help people.
Oh,
Some of it's
how
through a nonprofit.
beautiful!
We have some good nonprofits out here.
Right.
We really do.
I didn't know if there was something else I could like type or something, but that's
Yeah,
so
High on
beautiful.
Hope's out here, and
High on Hope.
they do a lot. We do a lot of stuff through the church and things like that too that we belong to. So I mean, overall, like I said, man, if you would have told me, a couple years ago that I was going to be in this place today and I was going to be able to get on Facebook and people were going to request topics from me and I was going to be able to talk about those things and just be truthful and be real with them. I think that's really what people want. They just want to be heard. They just want to be listened to. And I think that, with everything that I've been through, that I can do that for people.
Right.
And I passionately enjoy helping people, like from the bottom of my heart. I don't get paid to do it. I don't want to get paid to do it. I do it because I was there. I do it for the broken people. I do it for the people who are sitting in their room right now with no hope and no nothing else, who are just struggling really bad. Those are the people that I do it for, and those are the people that I want to get to and that I want to help.
Yes, we want you to do that too.
We want to help you reach
We
those
want you
people
to
any
do
way
that.
that we can. Yes. That's amazing. I love that, there's people like us out there. You know what I mean? Just
Right.
just helping and
It's
trying to
so
and doing this
inspirational.
out loud, because I mean, not that anonymous programs saved my life, but also and
There's something to this.
I don't
There's
want to be
that
anonymous. I
revolution.
want
Yes.
people to know that there's you can do it. You can do it. You can make yourself beautiful. Make yourself make your life beautiful.
Make yourself. Make yourself.
I'm going to try to make myself beautiful.
She's so vain.
I'm not. I am.
Just saying. But it's that recovery revolution that is happening that we talk about, and it's saying words. We're saying molestation. We're saying like words that people don't that are ugly.
Exactly. And that they cringe from, and they don't
Right.
when they shut their ears and they, close their eyes and they act like it's not happening.
Yes.
It happens every single solitary day, probably
Happening right
within
now.
a couple miles of you or a couple
Yes.
feet of you,
Next door to you.
Yeah.
I mean,
and you just never know. And
you
it's
you
not like
don't.
these, it's not the worst of us. It's not the best of us. It's
Right,
all of
right.
us.
It's
Yeah.
just humanity and where we're at right now. So let's let's spread that message. Let's get in touch with more people. Let's be an inspiration to each other to keep being the change, because listen, folks, what we're doing is so hard. It is not, we're not doing it for money. We're not doing it for fame. It's not the way of the world. We're doing something different because it's in our hearts, because we're led to do it. And so my hat's off to you and what you're doing, and you're part of the world.
Thank you very much.
You're amazing.
And I appreciate you guys so much for having me on and for everything that you guys are doing too.
Oh,
And if we can just all continuously recover out loud, I think less people will die in silence.
beautiful.
You're so right. You are
Yes.
so right.
And I stole that from you, and I put that quote on the page. I asked if I could steal it. There.
Yeah, absolutely.
As long as you give people credit, they don't usually mind.
Right,
I don't
it's
care if you steal my
beautiful.
stuff, and don't give me credit. Just spread it. Like, spread the light,
That's
spread the
it.
light.
That's it. Just put it out there.
Yeah.
Yes,
Just get it out there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to say before we go?
I just want to say that, for anybody who's out there struggling today, feel free to message me. I know a lot of times, a lot of people have a hard time, when they're struggling or they don't have insurance
Right.
to get treatment or things like that. And I want to let you guys know that I have the resources for every single state in the United States of America, up to 41 pages of resources for every single state and for
Whoa.
other countries. So if you are struggling and you do not have insurance, I know enough people and I have enough resources to hopefully get you the help that you need if you do not have insurance.
How
Okay,
beautiful.
we've got to
How
share.
do-
I've got
yes.
to share that.
How do we get that? How do we get our hands on that?
How can we do
Or,
that?
I need it too.
Hey, I want to do that.
Yeah. Or how do people get in touch with you? Do you want me to put a number or anything?
Sure.
Okay.
If you guys want to put my number down, that's absolutely fine.
Okay.
Also, I have a motivational speaker / recovery advocate page,
Oh.
which is Justin.
Okay.
It's Justin, and then my last name, FIEHN.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, if they message me on either page or they want to get a hold of me, I'll even put my personal phone number out there, and that's 630-886-4305. I do not turn my phone off, even at nighttime. I don't care if I got to work. I don't care what I'm doing. I pick up my phone and I always try to help those who need it.
Beautiful.
You
All
are
right,
a
I posted
warrior.
that. That's out on the interwebs now.
I'm absolutely okay with it.
Okay, good. Beautiful. Well, thank you
Well,
so
thank
much.
you guys very much for having me on. I'm
Absolutely.
gonna go pick up the kids and make myself beautiful.
Go make yourself beautiful.
That needs to be the hashtag of the day. Tell Melissa that I love her, and I'm so
I
happy
love
for
you.
y'all. I'm so happy for y'all.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank
I love
you.
love, and I love y'all's love.
Beautiful.
So how
can feel
wonderful.
it.
Absolutely. Couldn't be happier for y'all. And if you have anything else coming up, if you want to come back, just give us a shout.
We would love to have you
Love
guys
y'all
back.
so much.
Absolutely. Maybe we'll do something on couples in recovery.
Woo!
Oh my gosh, I love
it. That's awesome.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Have a great
Take
day, you
care.
guys.
All right.
You too.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, y'all.
Oh my gosh,
Good
is
show.
it over?
It was like jam packed.
Just one more hour. Okay. Can we just wait?
So-
I did want to touch, just because we want to, I think it's important to go back to DFACS before we get out of here
Mhm.
with what that obituary that I read today says, and someone made a comment in regards to they're overworked and they're overrun. They are so desperately, but the change has to come from above, our government, our governmental systems, the allocation of funds. And I talked last time that we were here about knowing your people. Who are your senators? Who are your House representatives? If you have a strong passion to change these sorts of things, it's contacting them. They have their email addresses, their phone numbers on these websites. You can contact these people. So
Hello?
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
Hello.
Good
Hello?
morning, ladies.
Good morning.
Oh, hey. I know that guy.
G'day. How are ya?
How are you?
Oh, I'm fantastic. We're doing the. Looks like we're doing the 2.5 second delay from Australia this morning.
Oh, there's a delay, huh? What have you been up to?
Yeah. We're bouncing halfway around the globe. Globe. So I've been anticipating your famous return from holidays and hairdos and and waving feathers in the air and helping people. And it's just, it's immense and it's fantastic. And I love what Justin's doing.
Right?
Love that he opens up and tells people about what's going on in his life, what's been going on in his life. And believe me, it helps people around the globe who are listening.
It's huge, right? It's so raw, it's so human, and we just need so much more of it. It's those moments and those people that are doing these things that are so dynamic. But and here's the thing for me is it's like, we